Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of the Patrick Coffin Show. I am Patrick Coffin, your triple board certified host, commentator, media analyst, author, and podcaster. I want to talk about, before I get into the Diddy indictment, I want to mention the community that's behind everything I say here on good old YouTube, and that's the True North Movement. The True North Movement is a community, digital community of people in multiple countries who are really into connecting historical dots, exposing false media narratives, people who want to see things as they are, people who want to live in the truth without compromise. We do a lot of historical work. We talk about books. We talk about movies. We have a VIP live webinar where we discuss things and we finish each other's sentences. We're lied to, folks. People lie to us all the time. The government tells lies. Hollywood tells lies. Advertising tells lies. So inside True North, we talk about fallacies, how to spot lies and deceptions, and how to fortify yourself against the onslaught of truths and half-truths that come at us all the time through the various media plural. So go to patrickcoffin.media and check it out. There's 3 levels of engagement, and I have a feeling there's something in it for you. If not, check it out and share it with someone who might be interested. Let's talk about the indictment recently of Sean Combs, a.k.a. Puff Daddy, the Diddler, Diddy. It was run by Damian Williams. He's the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and William S. Walker is the acting special agent in charge of the New York Office of Homeland Security investigations. Now, this is an interesting feature of this Diddy indictment and the arrest, and now that he's in jail, and now that the bail has been denied twice. Why is this a Homeland Security? Why are the feds involved here? Why did military Hummers show up? 3 different states, simultaneous raids. Well, that district, now led by the attorney, Damian Williams, is very famous for crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's. They're very detail-oriented, and they don't put the noose around someone and get an arrest until they have a really, really solid, airtight case. So this is not celebrity gossip. This is not he said, she said. They have done minute work, probably in multiple countries, certainly in all 3 of the states where Sean Combs has lived. I just want to, before I go further, run through what the indictment says, because these are very serious charges, and he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So he was charged on a 3-count indictment with racketeering conspiracy, SE trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. So this indictment alleges that between 2008 and present, that goes back a long time. That is what, 15, 16 years of abuse allegations, assault, violence against people. Interestingly, no minors. There are no minors mentioned in this indictment. That may come out. This may come out in a kind of drip by drip process. We may find out about minors, because certainly some of the people that we're going to be talking about today were minors at the time, certainly after the year 2008. So Combs is alleged to have abused, threatened, and coerced women and others. I think that's a reference to men. Sean Combs is homosexual. This is an open secret. I'm not sure what the category bisexual means, but certainly there have been people walking in and discovering and just knowing, because they're part of the inner circle, folks like Jaguar Wright, that we'll also get to, former backup singer and collaborator with Jay-Z. The indictment goes on to say he led a racketeering conspiracy that engaged in that trafficking, forced labor, kidnapping, arson, bribery, and obstruction of justice, among other crimes. That among other crimes is a big train-sized loophole, I think, or clause that I think they're going to fill with all kinds of other charges going on. This is a window not onto one little genre of music. This is a window onto the super rich. Remember that Robin Leach? I'm Robin Leach. I'm yelling and I don't know why. Welcome to the lifestyles of the rich and famous. The lifestyle, the mores or lack thereof of the super rich have no limits. They have no filter. So it's easy for us to tut-tut and judge and say those, evil, super wealthy bastards, they're getting their comeuppance. I think in a post-Christian culture that the super rich with their freak-off parties and their 50-foot yachts and their unlimited sexual adventures and their fur-lined everything and the plush red carpet treatment, being surrounded by paparazzis and adoring fans, I think for a post-Christian America and elsewhere, we secretly want what they have. And what they have because of money. So I think there's a groundswell of envy at the super rich. So our reaction to the Diddy indictment and arrest, it's not so much because of too much piety. It's really because of too much poverty. I think there's an inbuilt envy when we see the super rich live this lifestyle where there's no limits and they can basically live out the Nietzsche ideal, right? The transvaluation of all values. Just make good evil and evil good. Do what thou wilt, said Aleister Crowley. That occultic influencer, Aleister Crowley, is a kind of ideological grandfather of the worldview that is adopted by the one percenters. It's easy to have Schadenfreude. That's a great German word, Schadenfreude. It means pleasure at your enemy's downfall. Because whatever jealousy or envy we have of people who can dress a certain way, live a certain way, party a certain way, own certain things, I think it exposes our own insecurity, our own envy. And when someone like Combs is surrounded and tagged and made into a pariah and shunned, we get a certain pleasure because we can scapegoat him. And by we, I don't mean you and I mean we collectively. It's certainly true that the people that surrounded Sean Combs, Jennifer Lopez, the ex-girlfriend, you notice all the people that you'd think would be coming out and saying something are silent? Where's Jay-Z? Where's Beyonce? Not a word from her. No one has anything to say? Everybody knew what Puff Diddy is and does. Everybody knew what happens at his parties after a certain time. He's on video telling the crowd, hey, listen, after a certain point, it's coming soon. You want to put the kids to bed. We're going to have the real kind of party and he says the kind of party that young kids will want to go to when they're older. What? So he did this publicly. Where's LeBron James? Where's Bill Clinton? Where's Barack Obama? No one has anything to say. Because as in the Harvey Weinstein fall from, I won't call it grace, his fall from prominence, as with Epstein, these are all interconnected. It's the exact same dynamic. And it's the dynamic of scapegoating. You have this pool of sin. Let's just call it what it is. You have this massive pool of sin collected by the one percenters who live this life of no drama. In a way, that's a paradox of being super wealthy. There's no drama in the sense that if you're poor or middle class, you have the drama of budget. You have the limit of not being able to do everything you want. And that's very healthy. Human beings are built to have limits, either external limits that you have to accomplish and accommodate, and you have to integrate your life into the fact that you can't do it all and have it all. This is why some men do very, very well in the military, especially those like me who are prone to ADHD traits. Having external locuses of control is very, very good because it gets you to channel all your energy. Think of a body of water flowing down a mountain. Without riverbeds, that water is just going to go into a meadow. It's going to slow down and spread too far. It's not going to do any damage, but it's also not going to be able to do things like power electrical plants. When you have water accompanied by riverbeds, then that river becomes a powerful force because it's focused on one thing. And that is collaborating with gravity in a direct way so it can power the turbines and basically provide energy for an entire city. Likewise, the rich don't have riverbeds. They're just gushes of activity. And this is why the super rich commit suicide at a higher rate than people in poverty. There's a number of studies done on people who win lottery tickets, like massive amounts of lottery money suddenly shows up in their lap. 5 years later, almost invariably, the people are miserable, the winners, because the guardrails just disappear. You want to tip $100? Great. You want to give your Uncle Bob a new house? Great. Then what? You want to go to Vegas and party like it's 1985? Okay. Then you wake up with the hangover and the guilt and the regret. Then what? Get another yacht? You just become a human buying machine instead of a human being. And that's another reason why it's not healthy to be super famous or super rich. Jesus never warns the middle class. He never warns the poor. He warns the rich. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven. Does that mean that all rich people are going to hell? No, it doesn't. Even the super rich have a chance at salvation. This is not judgmentalism on the people who have acquired all that wealth, whether from inheritance or from hard work and talent. It's that the more material things you have, the more likely you are to cling to them, to mistake them for your God. This is why Jesus offers two different choices in life for worship. You've got two options, two objects, if you will. Object number one is God. What do I mean by God? The supreme being, the uncreated creator of everything, the one who sustains all of creation and you and I moment by moment by his power. If God stopped thinking of us, we would vanish into the void. But here we are. I'm talking, you're listening, because God is permitting all of this. Now, the God who made us in justice deserves all of our love and praise. We should be grateful for every single thing we have. We should not live as though tomorrow is owed to us. So that's option A, worship God. Option B is Mammon. And Jesus says you cannot serve God and Mammon. Mammon is money. Mammon is the great false idol. Now, if you check out your American dollar bill, I think I have one here. On the US dollar bill, above the word one, in God we trust. I'm not saying the fathers were devout Christians or that they were like literal prophets, but there is a fitting symbolism to having those words, in God we trust, right embossed on the money, so that we don't forget that this money, this white piece of paper with a dead white president, that's not God. That's just a medium of exchange. But the illusion that being super rich gives you is that you don't need God. You don't need the other option. And that's the deadly mistake. A lot of the content of my commentaries and interview guests and all the things I do on YouTube have to be heavily censored by me. To get the full iteration, unfiltered, uncensored, go to the True North Movement. That's patrickcoffin.media. You'll find an extra episode. You'll find all the activities around the water cooler, our main community chat. We do books, we do movies, we do culture, faith, and reason. So get the entire conversation, uncensored from YouTube. Go to patrickcoffin.media. And now, back to the show. The rappers whose careers rise and fall are thanks to whoever buys them, but also whoever distributes, markets, promotes, sells, makes use of propaganda to get them in front of everybody. I still can't believe that rap is a thing. I remember when it first came online in the 80s, I thought, well, no, this is not going to catch on. The sound here is so ugly. It's parasitical rhythmic beats onto other people's creations. It's this anger. It's about fornicating and murdering and getting high. I never thought rap would catch on. But here it is. Multi-billion with a B dollar business. And the people who pay for it, the people who promote it, the people who own all of it, never seem to get a noose around their neck. They never seem to be included in the indictment train. But the middle management people, the people who are the public face, like Sean Combs, they're the ones that take the fall. And by the way, they should. I'm not absolving any of this, obviously. I'm just saying they're smaller fish in a much bigger pond. There are sharks above and behind the scenes that we never learn about, and they never say anything. They just quietly make an obscene pile of cash off of all the chaos beneath them. Has rap and hip hop really helped black culture or middle class white culture that buys a lot of rap and hip hop albums? Is it better? Are we better off because it exists? Are the messages wholesome? Is the music beautiful? Is it even music? How did this catch on? This is like a massive trend of mystery to me. Maybe someone can explain it in the comments. But it's all through our culture. The rap and hip hop, thug life, glorification of criminality. And I think behind this is fatherlessness. Sean Combs' father was killed because he was a rat. And according to Gene Dean, his father's murderer was one of his casket bearers. All the people I mentioned, from Tupac, Biggie Smalls, R. Kelly, 50 Cent, Jay-Z, the whole crowd, Diddy, they either had abusive or absent fathers. If you don't have a father in the home, and this is something Denzel Washington has pointed out, it all starts in the home. You have mothers who nurture, praise God for that. Mothers have the attention to detail. Mothers are oriented toward emotion, subjective care, security, welcoming, affirmation, all those things that make mothers so heroically wonderful. But without the father, that's like having no riverbeds, no guardrails. The father represents order. He represents the law. He represents standards, metrics. I don't know if ever in the history of the human race have these words ever been spoken. Wait till your mother comes home. No, it's wait till your father comes home. The father is the buck stops with dad. If there's a problem at school with bullying, if there's a problem with athletic prowess, it's the dad's job to step in and protect his son or his daughter. When you don't have that, and when you have, post-1965, I think it's 80% of all black babies are born into fatherless environments. This builds up. Now we're into our second generation now, and we see the wreckage of the failed sexual revolution and how it's affected the black community we've got 60 years of data now. Take the father out of the home, and sooner or later, you're going to have a terrible kind of chaos. Because the greatest supermom in the world cannot be a substitute for the father. We know this from social science and child psychology. Somewhere between 12 and 18 months, the baby, the infant, who is quickly becoming a toddler, needs to have an identity separate from the mother. And the father is ideally the one to take the child, separate that kind of invisible, call them spiritual umbilical cords, and put the son or the daughter on his or her own 2 feet, saying, you're my daughter. You have my name, and you have my protection. Fathers represent adventure. They represent help and security outside the home. And we need both. By God's design, we need both mother and father. So when the father is gone, you have an aircraft with one wing. Doesn't fly very well. And this is in no way to cast aspersions on single moms who are often that way involuntarily. I have only admiration for single mothers who do basically an impossible job. I'm Patrick Coffin. Be a saint. What else is there?